Gentlemen, your favorite bets for week 2 of the NFL season. Can you believe it? We're already here, week 2. 7 home underdogs. Who is your favorite to cover, Jeff?
Yeah, I honestly, I'm not in love with any of the home underdogs this week, but one team I am tired of betting against is the Miami Dolphins. And, they're sitting there at +3. I would much rather this be +3.5 if we got on it early in the week. But, oh, man, I mean, this is a team that's 7-1 against the spread last year as the home team. Again, going down to Miami, we know the classic. It's kind of tough. People get distracted. And the Dolphins have always been a bit of a tough road game. And now you've got a division game against Buffalo. Yes, Josh Allen is the best quarterback in this game. But one thing about the Bills, and I mentioned this preseason, like it is tough for these teams that really overperformed in 2020 to now follow that up in 2021. I'm not suggesting that I'm against the Bills or I don't think that they're eventually going to turn this around, but we saw them struggle last week against Pittsburgh. This was not the team we necessarily saw last week. Now they get another tough defense who's very, very opportunistic. Miami getting key turnovers when it happens. I don't want to bet against this team. And ipso facto, if they're getting points here as the home team, I want to take them. I'm expecting a close, slow game. Give me the points with Miami here.
All right, Pearce, which underdog is your favorite to cover this weekend?
Philadelphia +3. They're not getting any respect after a dominant performance against the Falcons. I know the Falcons aren't great, but still, Philadelphia looked really good. They have a solid front seven, may not be the greatest, maybe getting a little old, but still good. Their secondary's improved. Darius Slay, we want to write him off, but he had a really good week last week, so he could come out playing well. And then look at San Francisco. There's a lot of question marks there. I don't really know what to make of the quarterback situation. They are starting a backup running back. I know people like the running backs in DFS, but the reality is this is a backup running back, Brandon Ayuk. There was rumors that he was going to struggle, and he didn't show up in Detroit. And you look at what this team did last week offensively, Jalen Hurts, there could be a lot of potential here.
All right, AJ, how about you? Which of the 7 underdogs you like?
Absolutely agree with Pearce's call on the Eagles, but I also really like the Colts here. You know, I just got through our previous segment talking about being high on Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman in this game. So the Colts at +3.5 is a great spot to land, I think, in these week 1 matchups. The Rams D really struggled against the run in their first week, and I think Taylor and Hines could absolutely shred them this week.
All right, guys, which game is a lock to go over? Pearce.
I'm just going to stick with the Chargers and the Cowboys. I know it's a big number, but it's a big number for a reason. The Cowboys' offense looks good, and their defense is terrible. That's pretty much the recipe for an over. The Chargers should bounce back. And last week they had a tough road matchup. Their offense should get going here. The only way I see this getting spoiled is if the Chargers defense has a good game. Their secondary looked good last week, but you would expect their secondary to look good against a backup quarterback being thrust into a game, and then Curtis Samuel was also out. I expect a lot of points from the Cowboys and the Chargers.
That's a 54.5 point total right now on the DraftKings Sportsbook. AJ, which game is a lock to go over?
I'm looking at 49ers Eagles here. Game total coming in at 49 right now on the DK Sportsbook. I think between Jalen Hurts possibly having another strong performance against a questionable San Francisco pass D. You've also got an Eagles team that wasn't great against the run in their first contest, and this is an opportunity for Mitchell to prove that week 1 wasn't just a fluke. So I think 49 should be an easy mark for these two teams to hit.
All right, and Jeff, what about you, dude?
I like the over in the big game totals too. I think these game totals are too low. Again, we saw early in the season last year, the defense has struggled. The overs had a great record in the first 3 weeks. I think it's a similar story here. The game totals are too low for these matchups. I like both the ones the guys mentioned. I'm going to go back to Seattle and Tennessee and take the over there, though. I'm just not sure how this doesn't hit. Maybe we get a stinker performance from the Titans offense again, but again, like, let's remember, this was a top 4 offense from last year. All the same pieces are there. They're going to figure it out. Seattle is classic Seattle. They love to get ahead, and then their secondary just lets the other team throw the ball around the yard. So at the very worst, you're probably going to get more garbage points from Tennessee. We know Russell Wilson is playing at a high level. I've already gone over how bad the Tennessee secondary played last week, allowing a ton of yards to Kyler Murray on not even that many pass attempts. I think this one goes over for sure. I know it's a big total, but all the ones the guys mentioned, I think really, really good offensive setups. And again, offenses tend to dominate in the first couple weeks here.
Hey, AJ, looking at the DraftKings Sportsbook here, what's your favorite prop bet?
Well, I absolutely can't believe I'm saying this, but Aaron Rodgers to throw an interception against the Lions is coming in at plus 195.
Wow.
I know the Lions aren't good, but that's just too much value to pass up on. Like it was so clear in the first week that Rodgers and his receivers are not on the same page. And I don't think, one more week of practice is necessarily going to fix that. Do I think the Packers are going to win this game? Absolutely. Do I think there's a good chance Rodgers could throw another interception? At plus 195 value, I certainly do.
Yeah, threw 2 of them last week, baby. Jeff, what about you, man? Favorite prop bet right now in the DK Sportsbook?
AJ just trying to motivate Aaron Rodgers, I think, was the bulletin board material here.
Absolutely.
I'm going to stick with the Tennessee-Seattle game and keep picking on this. I'm going to go over on A.J. Brown's receiving total. It's sitting at 70.5 or 71.5, actually. May have just moved. But regardless, I think this is 10 yards too low for A.J. Brown in this game. Again, we know the Seattle secondary is where they struggled. They allowed a bunch of garbage time to the Colts receivers once they got up in that game. And regardless, this is A.J. Brown. This thing could hit on one catch and pass. And I love targeting receiving totals that I think are a little bit too low with players like A.J. Brown. They got great yards per reception totals. So I think this matchup screams fast pace. I think this matchup screams Tennessee's passing game has a good day. And A.J. Brown, I like going over on his receiving total.
Pearce, which prop bet are you targeting on the DK Sportsbook?
Brandon Cooks over 61.5 yards. He is a deep threat burner. Tyrod Taylor is known as one of the deep ball passers in the NFL. And we saw last week 7 targets. It was 5 catches for 132 yards. And that was in a bad game script. They were up 21 or 20 points at half. This week, they're supposed to be trailing. They're double-digit dogs. They're going to pass a lot. So there should be even more volume, even more deep passes down the field. And he doesn't have to get 130. He just has to get halfway there. And last week, it was against a decent quarterback in C.J. Henderson, who was a top pick, supposed to play well. Meanwhile, the Browns were terrible in the secondary last week. I love this over.
All right, let's bring it home here, boys, with your slate-approved picks. So your favorite bet on this Sunday slate, Week 2, Jeff.
Going against my guy AJ here, and I hate it, but oh my God, why are the Rams only -3.5 favorites here? Let me give you the injury list for the Colts. Darius Leonard did not practice. Quentin Nelson, no practice. Rhodes still not practicing. Eric Fisher's now limited. Jack Doyle not practice. These are key players for the Colts, really key players. And look, why are we giving Carson Wentz so much credit here when they just got stomped by another NFC West team? The Rams might be better than the Seahawks now, and they're still only -3.5 after what Matthew Stafford did. This is a Jared Goff line, and you've got Matthew Stafford coming to town, man. The Rams here way too low. Give me them to cover.
AJ, go ahead, man.
I'm going to look at another QB prop here, and this one's going to be Kansas City's Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns to come back with plus 110 value on the DK Sportsbook. Look, Baltimore's DBs were sliced up worse than Kenny Ducey's hand to the tune of 409 passing yards in the first game of the year. And that was Derek Carr putting up 2 touchdowns for him. I think Mahomes easily gets that third, could even push for a 4th in this one. I love that over prop on TDs.
Pearce, have at it, man. Slate-approved pick.
Patriots -5.5. Over the last 20 seasons, Belichick, after a loss, is 52-29. The last time that they lost, the next week, they beat the Jets. That was last week at week 17, and they covered the spread against the Jets over the last 10 years. He's 18-3. Now, he's only 9-12 against the spread against the Jets over that span. But only 4 times was the spread under a touchdown. Yeah, it's hard to cover the spread when you got to win by 32 points. If this thing continues to stay under a touchdown, I love the Patriots here.